Last time I remembered, I was creating an open world shooter game in Unreal Engine 5. So far we've created a prototyping map, basic UI, a damage system, dashing gun and a grapple hook. Today I'm sharing my progress and some golden nuggets with you. Let me show you how it went. To keep things interesting for myself, I decided to already start experimenting with level design. This brought me to Gaia. It's a piece of fancy terrain software. Scenes from Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order used Gaia's technology, so that's why I wanted to give it a try, and this is what I came up with. I really liked the details it gave me. Just from combining and dragging a few nodes around, I felt like a pro and called my mom. I just called her, nothing to do with my project, so let's just move on. Bringing Gaia into Unreal meant that I had to export it as a height map. There were a bunch of nerdy formulas, but I found some guys online to help me with that. So I got this result in Unreal Engine. A little happy tingly feeling emerged from it, just so you know. Then I thought I had my map done. Oh boy, was I wrong. Gaia in combination with all of my settings and plans was just a mess. It's most likely my own fault, but there were some errors that literally kept bugging me. This is where I went for a different route, one that I'm more familiar with, namely the good old landmass plugin in combination with the sculpting tools. I generated this basic landscape, sprinkled in some hills and bumps and saw possibilities for gameplay and exploration, so I'm sticking with this map for now. To make the environment feel more alive, I added the water body ocean. In just a matter of minutes I had the ocean around my island and some small lakes on the map. I've always liked water in games and real life, and that's an easy but elegant solution to give the player some natural bounce. The landscaping was a good break from programming, so I kept going. I put on my Bob Ross hat and started painting the landscape. The shorelines and lakes will contain sand, the island itself will have a lot of grass, forest and vegetation. While painting the landscape I was always losing track of where I was, so for orientation's sake I added a giant player start reference. Having a big dude with his head in the sky will help my orientation better for myself on the map. I can also just click on the thing, hit F on my keyboard and jump straight to that location. My game will also consist of evil AIs and different kind of killer robots. That's why I want to have different factories around the map. These will be heavily guarded by the robots since the player will find some awesome weapons and pieces of technology there. Also for this part I experimented with a bunch of different development options. First I started out with a modular factory pack. This pack contains a lot of assets to create factory scenes with walls, roofs and indoor assets, so I gave it a try and built a basic factory room. Then I thought to myself, why not use Unreal's built-in cube grid and decorate the place after the prototype was done. This worked at first, but changing the factory a bunch of times it gave more mess to clean up and rotate around than it helped me, but this is a viable option for sure. The final way that I tried was with Blender. I created characters and assets inside of Blender, so why not a factory? Well, I quickly noticed why this wasn't for me. There is a lot of exporting and making even small changes. I have to switch between programs all the time. Although this is a popular method for some developers, I didn't enjoy the process as much as the other ones. So it was time to pick a winner, and that was working with modular pieces. This way I can work in-engine, make changes fast and everything is compatible and the sizes just fit together nicely. I can also create parts in Blender if I so desire, but the entire thing was just not my cup of tea. I put together this basic setup, placed some assets around and showed off my weapon swag in the new factory. In this phase of the development process I am not perfecting these yet. I rather have a general idea of what I want it to look like and then change aspects as I go. Looking around I felt more big objects will be good to have around my factory, like it is in real life too. So I also placed these factory assets around to give the scene more of an impact. Later on these will also be guarded with cool killer robots. You know what else we need? Freaking mountains, a bunch of them. These will represent islands in the far distance and spark your imagination that even your little toe will feel adventurous. So, what do you think about mountains? Now it's time to take out your note-taking pen and a piece of paper. I have a trick for placing reference images inside of the engine. I slapped the pictures onto planes and then scaled them up. Now I have them inside of the game for development purpose. Or you can just buy a second computer screen, but let's be real, who really has the money for that? With my own fancy setup I will try to recreate these lake scenes. Then I placed giant cubes around the map. These will be factory placeholders for now. Each cube will later on be replaced by a different environment with the guarded factory. I hope you still have your notes laying around, cause I'm showing another weird but handy trick out of my pocket. For free, make use of it. I drew this path around my map for general outline for the player, but I've increased the brightness a lot. Later on I will change it back to the default settings, but now I can quickly see this layout. The Bob Ross part inside of me is still fired up, so let's paint happy little trees and grass.
Let's paint several little happy trees.
I use simple wind trees because they look awesome and have good performance, but then they showed me the dens of their people. I'm not having any of this, so I painted the normal pivot ones back. They at least know how to behave like a tree. Next up I painted grass, a lot of freaking grass. I actually have real life hay fever, but I've painted so much digital grass that it became real. Holy moly. Anyway, it looks cool and this is the result when you combine it with the factory environment. So I can already hear you thinking, this is nice, this is going great. But then I kinda deleted the entire thing on purpose.
You serious?
Yeah, I actually did. Oh, do you want to know why? Because I didn't even listen to my own advice. On many videos, courses and even in my ebook, I mentioned to keep the scope of your project small at first. An open world isn't exactly that. So I'm just a solo creator, and even with World Petition, you need to come up with a lot of solutions to keep performance and pace up for all players. But don't worry, I've got a better idea that will also make my game even more fun to play. Instead of having one big map, I will create a lot of different ones. I want an action-packed game where we can shoot a bunch of bad guys around. In this previous map there was a lot of idle time and walking around. I was thinking of implementing vehicles or portals, but I want you to be immersed from start to finish. And this also allows me to create a lot of different environments and scale them however big I want them. This will motivate me to work more on the project. I noticed that I previously postponed working on a map because of the scope and expectations that I put onto myself. Right now I'm stoked to continue working on different cool environments and I can't wait to show it to you. If you want to follow that journey, you better hit that subscribe button below this video so you won't miss it. I mean, what are you waiting for? Don't forget to grab the free Game Dev Toolkit in the description down below this video. You will get my free ebook on how to get better at game development, a free game design document to plan out your projects, and a free tutorial series where you create a platformer game from scratch. And those who are hungry for more, I offer a sneak peek and overview of my new premium course, The Unreal Vault, where you learn how to create beautiful levels, create a game from scratch to finish, and how to set up boss fights and create dragon fights with different attacks including fire breathing. So if this sounds like a good deal to you, I see you there. Click the link and grab your Game Dev Toolkit now while it's still free.